All right, Instagram, what's going on, guys? Pop on here, give me a hashtag live if you're watching this live in the comments. Give me a hashtag replay if you're watching it after the fact. Today we're going to go over what to do when you get in a fat loss plateau. So what tricks and tools the pros use to get their clients and themselves out of a fat loss plateau. So we've all been there. We're dropping a bunch of weight, and all of a sudden the weight loss stops. We can't figure out what's going on. We try to just do more of what we've been doing, and it never typically works, unfortunately. I've been there myself, so it wasn't until I actually got a coach that I realized some of these methods that the good coaches are using to get their clients out of plateaus. I'm going to reveal all of that to you right now. So, let's get started. All right, cool. So I'm going to push play, and we are going to rock and roll here in a second. All right, here we go. All right, welcome back, everybody. Brand new episode of the Fit Veteran Podcast. Today, I'm going to reveal to you basically how to get unstuck, how to get past a plateau. So during our fitness journey, there's a lot of different plateaus that are going to happen, whether it be mental, physical, fat loss, muscle building. It's not linear. It's going to be up and down, up and down. The key is obviously to stay consistent, but there's certain tricks that fitness professionals use for their clients to actually get them past their plateau. I'm going to reveal all the tricks I use for my clients, literally giving you the game plan for free. All you got to do is implement it once you have it. So basically, what is a plateau? So a plateau is when we're dropping a bunch of weight, and I'm talking more about the fat loss plateau on this episode. I can go into mental plateaus, muscle building plateaus, which really muscle building is almost the exact opposite of the fat loss process. So, and I can go in depth to that a little bit more. But essentially, we've all been there, or those that we need to lose the weight, we have been there. Okay, we drop a bunch of weight, we finally get our shit together, we're working out, eating clean, dropping weight at a good rate, right? And the body always does this. We always drop weight really fast in the beginning, and then we start to plateau or just level out until we hit a plateau, and then we're super frustrated. We typically just end up trying to do more of what we've already done, and most of the time that doesn't work, unfortunately. And again, the reason I can speak to this is because I've actually been there, right? It wasn't until I actually hired my first coach for fitness that I finally understood like what was going on with my body and why I could never get past my plateau. So here's the game plan. So essentially, again, your body is always wanting to be in a state of homeostasis, meaning that it wants everything the same. Okay, the body doesn't like change. It's going to fight change, and that's why in the beginning stage, it's going to be easy to drop that weight, and then after a while, the body catches on to what you're doing, and it's going to want to just kind of maintain where you're at, okay? You see that a lot of times with your workouts. You get really strong in the beginning, and then after a while, you kind of just stay at the same strength, so you have to change up the workouts to be able to continue to get stronger, right? And the same is true with the nutrition, but you're not changing up what you're eating necessarily. You're changing up like the input, right? So what do I mean by that? Basically, what happens when typically most people go on a fat loss journey is we just eat a lot less and we start working out a lot more, and that's great to get us started, but it's not going to get us to the finish line. So basically, once the body gets used to that, it's going to halt all that, okay? So what can we do? There's a few different options we can do here, okay? So one has to do with physically, okay? And this is probably what we all do, right? Maybe working out 3 or 4 times a week. We're like, okay, you don't want to move? Cool. Weight's not going anywhere? Cool, I got you. We're just going to go ahead and work out more, right? We're going to run a little bit more. Typically, most people just do more cardio, which I never recommend. I can't do like steady states of cardio for hours at a time. Like, I just get so bored with it. But that's typically what you see most people do. Maybe people add another workout in the day. So, and that'll work too for a certain amount of time. Because again, you're shocking the body, you're tricking the body. Now you're doing more volume, right? Physically. So the other ways we can look at it is actually with our nutrition, right? And I think this is more valuable than just working harder, right? At some point you gotta work smarter. You can't just always work harder. Like it's wear and tear on your body. And for me, I'm 39 years old. I just turned 39 a few days ago. And man, I can tell you, like, back in my 20s, I could probably do 2 or 3 gym sessions a day, no problem. Be cool, wake up the next morning, do it again. Now it's like, if I get a good hour and a half, even just an hour workout, like I'm good, right? And I still rest twice a week. I take off Wednesdays and Sundays. I do stretching, yoga, things like that on those days. Just because my body, being a Marine vet, like I put my body through hell, and I'm not at my age trying to put my body through more hell to hit these fitness goals. So that was one reason I got my coach, my nutrition coach specifically. That's what I got a coach for, was because I needed to fully understand how I could get my body to do what I wanted it to do strictly through nutrition. Okay, I didn't want to just get a coach that was going to be like, yeah, just hit the gym harder, bro. Like, no, I'm good on that. I need to learn the nutrition so I can actually figure out if I do miss a gym session, if my body hurts, if I get injured, how can I still continually hit my goals even if physically I can't do everything I want to do. So with the plateau, basically most people are going to be anywhere from 1,200 or less calories when they're in a huge deficit like that, and everybody's going to be a little different, so there's no like one size fits all calorie range. But especially for us guys, like, you don't want to be anywhere near that. You need more calories as a man because we have more muscle mass, and those muscles have to be able to basically get our body around, right? And in exchange for that, we're burning more, right? So if we're not feeding it adequate amounts of calories, our body's not going to do what we want it to do. So getting to my point, 2 things you can do with nutrition when you get in a fat loss plateau. Okay, so the first thing is the obvious answer: drop more calories, eat a little bit less, right? Now, the problem with that becomes when you're already so low that your metabolism has essentially, I'm not going to say shut off, but slowed down to the point where it's not going to do much for you once you actually drop more calories, right? And the other problem is that most people aren't actually tracking their calories. So you could easily go, yeah, I'm just going to drop more calories and eat less or whatever, but that's kind of like the episode I talked about with the portion control bullshit. Like, that doesn't work because it's like, that's just like throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks. Like, you don't even know what portion control is if you're not tracking what you actually did, right? So for me to go, oh yeah, I'm just going to eat less than what I'm already eating. Well, I'm already eating less than what I was already. So now I'm going to start having hanger pains, and it's just going to be a mess because I'm going to get frustrated. I'm hungry now too. Like, shit ain't going my way. So at some point, let's just say you were actually tracking your calories. Let's say you're in a 1,500 calorie deficit, just for shits and giggles. This is what we're talking about. So if we did that, now we're saying, okay, well, let's drop to 1,300. Let's drop to 1,200, like whatever it is, right? And that's better than just guessing, right? So now we have a game plan. We understand like where we were at. Now we're going down, right? So that'll work for a certain amount of time, but again, the body's going to get used to that, and then we got to keep dropping. And you can only drop so far. Like, I never recommend anybody going under 1,200 calories if they can stop it, right? So let's just say we are at kind of our low end of the calories, and for me, like, a low end of the calorie range is like 1,500 calories. If I eat 1,500 calories a day, like, I'm barely making it. Like, I'm typically pretty hungry. Like, I'm not going lower than that because I just won't. It's not gonna happen. Like, I'll just binge somewhere else because I'm so hungry. So what's the other option? The other option is actually adding calories, right? And that seems so counterintuitive, right? Like, what? That sounds counterproductive, really. You're like, what? Why would I add more calories when I'm trying to lose fat? The thing is that you need to get your metabolism back up to a point where it's going to be able to do what you want it to do, right? So when we bring the calories up, now the body's going, okay, now I am getting fed at least somewhat of what I need. Let me go ahead and drop some more of this fat. Otherwise, we're just holding on to that fat because we're too low in our calories. Our body's like, when am I getting fed again, right? It's kind of like a flight or fight type of situation for our body. And so we have, that method of raising the calories and, what is a good range of raising calories? I would say if you're going to raise the calories, I would say at least probably 300, 400, 500 calories at minimum. See what the body does for a week or two. If you drop, you stay there for a little bit, drop in weight. You stay there for a little bit, and then if you plateau again, you can start working your way back down, right? And you will still drop even with raising the calories because you're still technically in a calorie deficit for your body, as long as you didn't go up by like 1,000 calories or something. So, and this is all very generalized info, guys, because obviously everybody's different, everybody's calorie range, but just stick with me. If you're starting to understand like what I'm laying down here, you could essentially get yourself out of a plateau if you're in there right now. So you can do that. The other thing you can do, like let's say you raise the calories and you just don't end up losing anything, you can go ahead and bottom out the calories again after a week or two of staying, raising the calories and staying there and seeing if the body moves that way. Okay. And a lot of this is just, it's trial and error, right? Everybody's body is going to be a little bit different, but these are the tactics we use on our clients when they are in a fat loss plateau, right? And we're tracking everything. We're tracking sleeping, we're tracking macros, we're tracking, energy expenditure, all that stuff. It's very data driven, right? All decisions are based off of data. We're not just making stuff up. So another thing you can do is you can do a cycle, okay? So a calorie cycle. This is probably my first go-to with my clients. So what that means is, let's say, I have a client that's, 1,500 calories, they're plateaued. And a plateau for us guys is anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks of not moving, right? We don't have 1 week and it's like, oh, we didn't move. Like there's times in your fat loss journey where you're not going to lose any weight for a whole week, right? That doesn't mean you're in a plateau. It just means your body's adjusting to what we're doing. And there still is a chance that we will be able to drop, okay? Now, if it's, again, 2 to 4 weeks where we're not dropping, okay, we can officially say we're in somewhat of a plateau. Let's go ahead and change some things up. And my favorite thing to do is just go ahead and give you essentially like a refeed day or a calorie surplus day. Okay, so this helps break up the monotony of being in a calorie deficit for so long. It also, what I think it tricks the body a little bit. It boosts the metabolism for just a day, right? It's just 1 day we call it like a high day or a refeed. And then all the other days are still at that regular calorie range. So for instance, I'm at 1,500 or my client's at 1,500 calories. I go ahead and raise them up to 1,700 for just 1 day. Okay. And then the rest of the 6 days, they're still at 1,500 calories. So I typically let them pick whenever they want to do that day. Maybe they go out to dinner with the family, whatever. And we see what that does for a week, right? If that doesn't work, typically I'll go up to 2 days of a refeed, right? And this boosts the total calories over the week even further, and we can see if we move there, okay? Typically that's all I have to do. It's either 1 day or 2 days, and we can see the scale start moving again, okay? Let's say neither of those things work as far as the nutrition side goes, right? So what we're going to do at that point is put them back up to a maintenance calorie amount, right? So basically what happens periodically when you're in a fat loss for a really long time, fat loss phase, you need to go back up to your maintenance, okay? So let's say, for me, my maintenance right now is probably like 2,100, right? So in my deepest cut, 1,500, like that's all I can typically sustain for more than, 4 or 5 weeks. Like after that, I'm just like burnt out. So I would go back up to 2,100, which is my maintenance, okay? And I would, depending on how bad I want fat loss, and typically with new clients, we see obviously they want the fat loss quicker. Me, I'm at a point where it's like I'm at maintenance right now. I don't plan on coming out of maintenance for another 2 months probably, because I just want a little diet break essentially, and then I plan on doing another cut. Basically September, October, and then halfway through November, right before Thanksgiving, I'll go back into maintenance so I can enjoy that Thanksgiving dinner, things like that, right? So it's all planned out. Like, I'm not doing stuff on a whim. However, if it's my client, I'm probably going to hold them at maintenance for 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how long I think they need it. Sometimes if they've been in fat loss for a really long time, they're going to need more time. Sometimes you need to hold people for, like I said, a couple, 2-3 months. And that's the hardest part. It's the hardest part mentally, because people have to be okay with like holding and not seeing any results for a while. Okay. And that's frustrating for people when they're so goal focused, they're so goal oriented that they need to be able to see the scale move. And that's honestly the biggest battle sometimes with people, is just like, hey, you're still gonna lose fat eventually. We gotta basically put the brakes on for a second so you can refeed, right? And the refeed does 2 things. One, it helps the metabolism boost back up to where it should be, right? And this is what we see with a lot of people, is like they're not eating enough, and they come in and they say, oh, I haven't, I'm like, they're like, I don't get why I'm not, losing weight. I barely eat. And well, that's a problem. You're barely eating. Your body's not going to do what you want it to do when you're barely eating. Like, you need to fuel it to a point where it's going to burn the extra calories, right? And it's not even extra. It's just like to a point where, okay, I don't necessarily need these, so I can start dropping fat. Anyways, they get to a point where, they need the reset for the metabolism, but then they need the reset mentally, right? Because, and I know some of you probably might not recognize this, but when you don't feed your body enough, you're going to get worn out. Your body's going to get worn out, but you're going to get worn out mentally too, because you want to eat, right? And if you're not eating enough, especially when you're training hard, things like that, if you're not eating enough because you're so focused on fat loss, you're going to get burnt out. I've been there. Lots of my clients have been there. I've seen it time and time again. So the refeed or the maintenance calories for 2 to 4 weeks at minimum, super key. Okay, those are going to get you out of those stubborn plateaus. So we do a mix of those things as far as like the tips and tricks of what to do when you get stuck in a plateau. This is something I wish I would have known about, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I've been with my coach maybe 4 or 5 years, so that's who really taught me the method. And again, I would have saved a lot of time and energy, frustration, had I just known this, right? Had I got a coach before. And I didn't really know, like, coaches did this type of thing when back then. And not very many people do. You're going to see a lot more nowadays, obviously. But, so yeah, that's my tidbit. If you're frustrated, you're in a plateau, try those tips, tricks. If you try those and they still don't work, definitely get a professional to show you how to do it. And again, it's got to be measurable, guys. You can't just, well, I ate a little bit more one day and then I ate less the next day and it didn't work, so Matt don't know what he's talking about. Like, that doesn't work. Like, you gotta measure it. So keeping track of your calories at minimum, ideally keeping track of your calories and protein intake, because a lot of times you'll plateau quicker when you're just keeping track of calories, because you didn't maintain a lot of muscle, right? Muscle helps keep the metabolism revved up, boosted, burn more fat, burn more calories. So when all you're doing is calorie tracking, you're inherently going to lose muscle with it, right? And that's no good for the metabolism, right? So that's why it's super key to do it the right way, to where you're tracking the calories and the protein. So when you're intaking more protein, you're holding on to more muscle as you drop the body fat, which not only creates a better look, more toned look, it keeps our metabolism revved up as best as possible. So anyways, I gave you guys the keys to the kingdom right there. Like, if you don't do anything with that, you just don't want it bad enough. Most coaches probably wouldn't even give you that info, because it is like a huge value thing that us coaches do. For me, it's like, if I can help you for free, awesome, let's do it. If you're one that just takes in the information and doesn't do anything with it, then definitely get a coach or just ask for help, like more help from a professional, because I know everything's free on the internet, guys. Like, I'm not saying anything that you probably couldn't find somewhere else. However, the problem isn't information. The problem is execution, right? We know what to do. It's just actually executing, and that's where accountability comes in, and that's what a coach is for. So, anyways, I hope you guys got a lot out of that podcast. If you're listening to this, I'll drop a question in the comment, specifically Spotify. There'll be a poll. It'll probably be have you experienced a fat loss plateau and what have you done to get out of it? So we'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Appreciate y'all being on tonight with IG. If you got questions, drop them now because I'm about to pop off here. Tons of viewers on Instagram. Appreciate you guys all being on. Not seeing anything there. Okay. All right. I'll give IG a couple of minutes. If you guys want to ask a question about breaking through fat loss plateaus or just anything, you let me know. I'm going to check Facebook real quick here, see if you guys got any questions. If not, I'm going to dip out and continue about my night. Let's see here. All right, cool. Just a couple likes and loves on Facebook. Appreciate that. And I am going to get out of here. We'll see you guys on the next one.